Hello, everyone. It is your main man, Sports Live, again with another broadcast. Today is Football 101 Part 3. We're going to explore different football player positions, and that's going to be on the offensive side of things and the defensive side of things. We're also going to look at various formations that you can line up in the offense and on the defense. Before I get started with that, I'm asking that you will like the broadcast, that you will subscribe to my channel for other notifications for when I'm going live and other videos. Hit the notification bell so you can get the information coming to your email when I go live or have videos. Subscribe and just hit that like button and comment as you will. Now let's get into this. In the football player positions, there is what's called the offensive line. That's where we'll start. The offensive line blocks for the quarterback and running back. They have to be prepared for anything. They stand and block for all pass plays or push defense in certain ways so holes can open up. They work together to try and fool the defense. Now, in the offensive line, there are 11 players that are on the field, and they have five different positions within the field, and I'm going to go over that now. Um, the center is the guy in the middle of the offensive line, and he snaps the football to the quarterback to start the play. The right and left guard are two offensive linemen on either side of the center. One's going to be on the left, one will be on the right of the center. The right and left tackle are two offensive lines next to the guards. So you have your right guard and your left guard. That's to your immediate right and to your immediate left of the center. Those two positions are to the immediate right and to the immediate left of the tackles. The right and left tackle are two offensive linemen that's near to the guard. So it's kind of like your third value line of offense. You have a tight end who lines up just outside the tackles. Um, the teams could actually on different plays could have one, two, three, or none on the field at any given time, depending on the play. They're going to, they'll work as a combination offensive lineman and receiver. They help to block, so they need to be strong, fast, and have good hands in order to be able to catch passes. Without them, you really don't have much of an offense outside of your quarterback. A wide receiver, they line up on the near line of scrimmage. Their main job is to get open and catch passes. We're not going to go over pass plays because there are so many of those, but you see where they line up and everything. They do everything they can to get open so they can catch the ball, whatever the play is that they're running. Running backs are next. They line up in the backfield or the area behind the line of scrimmage. They are your rushers to carry football forward. They have to block during pass plays, and they can also serve as wide receivers when situation or play needs that. It does help to have that as an extra wide receiver if you need it. The quarterback is the player who gets the ball from center, and he can do one of three things once he gets the ball. He could take it and keep it himself and run with it and see how far he can get. He could hand it off to a rusher to try to run up the field, or he could pass it to one of his other teammates. And the quarterback is the one who's in charge of running the play on the offense of the team who has the football. Now, the defensive line plays at the line of scrimmage opposite the offensive line. The main job is to stop the surge of offensive linemen or rushing play and to get to the passer on a pass play. That's plain and simple in terms of describing it. So, in simple terms, do everything you can to either prevent a person from getting a pass play to them or make it very difficult for them to gain any yards rushing on the ground. But they have to be careful not to hold for too long, because if they hold for too long, they can get a penalty for holding. And that's described in a previous video if you'd like to catch up on that. For defensive things, positions, they have a nose guard. They play at the center of defensive line right at the ball. They have to be strong, and they have to clog the middle as best they can and make it very hard for the offense to run a ball. You have a defensive tackles. Similar to the nose guard, they are the inside force of the defensive line. They are your go-to guy to make sure that whoever has the ball doesn't get far trying to drive up the field. Your defensive ends play the outside being the far right part of the line of scrimmage or the far left line on the line of scrimmage, and the defense is usually 1 to 2 yards behind where the line of scrimmage is. That's just where they are to defend. The defensive end, they play outside the tackle. Their job is to rush the passer and to keep rushing plays from getting outside. So if an offensive player gets the ball outside, then they have a higher chance of running down the field and maybe scoring a touchdown. So these defensive ends do everything they can to protect that outside area to make sure that don't happen. Next, you have linebackers. They make up the next line of defense. They are the main tacklers on defense. They plug holes in defensive line when offensive rushers try to get through. There's usually a middle linebacker who calls out defensive formation and plays defending positions depending on the offensive setup. So like your quarterback, your middle linebacker is kind of like the guy in charge of maintaining defense. They might move or shift according to what that guy sees on defense as he's playing it. Next up is the cornerback. No, it's not the quarterback. I know quarterback and cornerback sounds very similar, but they're not. The cornerback, they cover the offensive wide receivers and try to prevent them from catching passes. They help on offensive run plays that get past the first line of defense, your linebackers. Next, we have our safeties. They are there to prevent the big play. There's at least one safety tries to stay behind the offensive wide receiver should they pass the cornerback. They help linebackers on offensive run plays. Again, you have several layers of defense, and they're kind of like that third line of defense. Next, there's a special group of people that are called special teams. You only hear about special teams during kickoffs, extra points, and field goals. They're only used for that specific purpose. In those special teams, there are a few certain positions that are with that. You have the punter, who literally is the person who kicks the punt. The field goal kicker kicks field goals, extra points, and kickoffs. Sometimes, depending on the football team that you have, your kicker can also be your punter in some cases, but in most cases, it's two separate people that do that, although you can use one guy for that purpose. Let's see. The placeholder is another person on special teams. That player is the one who holds the ball for the field goal kicker. This position on special teams is usually held as part of responsibilities of a quarterback when field goal attempt happens. It's not to say that you have to use the quarterback for a holder for a kick, but most teams in college football, high school football, and even younger football, they do the same thing in the NFL, and it's usually your quarterback who's going to be the holder. It's more common in college football and younger than it is in the NFL, but it does happen there too. All right. Next is what we call the long snapper. The long snapper is the center who snaps the ball to the punter. It is considered a special skill, and more times than not, it is not your regular center. You have a center who is the person who snaps the football to the quarterback. That's only in offensive plays. This person literally can snap the ball to the punter literally 10, 15, 20 yards back from the line of scrimmage where the punter will kick the ball down the field. And it really takes really special skill to be able to snap the football that long. Offensive plays can and will vary in terms of formations, and there are 9 that are widely used during games. There are others, but these 9 are the main ones. Any others are combinations or hybrids of various forms of these 9 formations. And I'm not going to get into those hybrids because, they don't happen a lot. They do happen sometimes, but again, these 9 are the main ones that you'll see. These are the formations that are allowed for offense. You have single back, also called ace. There's one running back in the backfield, and the quarterback lines up under center. Then you have, and then of course they run the play accordingly. Each of these things you'll run a certain play, but you may not know what's coming as this lines up. We're just talking about how they would line up on the field. The pro set, there are 2 running backs, a tailback, and a fullback. They are split. They are split each behind and on a different side of the quarterback. The quarterback starts the play under center. Next, you have empty backfield. The quarterback is under center, and there are no running backs, and it usually is a true passing formation. If you see that, it's most likely going to be a pass. There's a spread offense. It is designed to spread the defense out and create space for runners to work the open field. And that form of offense is usually ran in the shotgun formation, which I will get into in just a minute. Next you have is the wishbone. The wishbone is a running formation. There are 3 running backs, 2 halfbacks, and a fullback, and there can also be tight ends as well, but there's no wide receivers, and it's obvious that it's not going to be a pass. This setup will tell the defense you are running the ball and will allow for a lot more blockers than usual to help get the ball through. Next, you have what they call I formation. I formation is a formation where you have 2 running backs and the quarterback is under center. The fullback lines up directly behind the quarterback, and the tailback lines up behind the fullback. Okay, next you have goal line offense. It's where your good examples, like say it's you are inside the 5-yard line and you're doing everything you can to keep that team who has the football out of the end zone. Your role as the opposing team is to keep them out of the end zone, so they'll set up this kind of offense when that happens. What it is 3 tight ends and 2 running backs are used with no wide receivers. It's usually a power running formation when very close to scoring a touchdown, and depending on what they see, they might shift a little bit to the left or to the right, depending on where they think the ball's going to go, and they do everything they can to literally keep them out of the end zone. Now, the thing that I had mentioned earlier, the shotgun formation. It's basically the quarterback will stand several feet behind the center. The center hikes the ball in the air to the quarterback. This play can be a run, a pass, or a scramble. A scramble is where quarterback takes off with ball by itself with hopes of advancing the football, no passing to someone, no handing it off. You hope that the quarterback, if he has to scramble, can actually gain forward, but sometimes he's scrambling on the field trying to find that person open, and he's trying to buy himself more time because the defense has gotten through and they're coming after him, and he's really doing everything he can. Scrambles can be successful if he runs and he can find an opening, but if he's not, it can lead to a sack, or it could lead to getting behind the line of scrimmage, Or if all else fails and he's still behind the line of scrimmage, he'll throw the ball away, which literally means he'll throw the ball out of bounds in the direction he's supposed to, but nobody's there. There's no penalty for that as long as you're outside of the box. And I had gone over what that was in a previous video as well. The only problem with it is if you choose to go for a run, it really can set up a disadvantage, and it can really cause you to lose yards. It's more set up for a pass play, but you can opt between the two of them depending on what the quarterback sees at the time. The last one is known as the Wildcat. Basically, it's the running back lines up in the quarterback position, and when the ball is snapped, it's called a direct snap, and and he runs the football. You will see that occasionally when, say, a team is used to the way a certain quarterback is doing certain things, and you kind of want to mix things up and try to create some confusion. That's the way that works. There are other types of formations that, like I mentioned earlier, are hybrids of these offensive formations. I'm not really going to mention them because, like I said earlier, they're not used very much. And two, it's very confusing for beginning football. It's one of those things that once you've been playing football for a bit, then you would use those other types of formations, which are hybrids, and that's usually a coach's call. So you'll have to figure that one out. Sorry, I can't help you there. Let's see. All right. Now, there's only very few defensive formations. In brief, and I'm going to be very brief with these because there's not really much to describe in terms of what's going on with the defense in this, but they have what is called a 4-3 defense. 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 cornerbacks, and 2 safeties. Additional cornerbacks may replace linebackers in passing situations, and they're doing everything they can to defend the ball to make sure that the ball does not go forward. Next, you have what is called 3-4. It is similar to the 4-3, but it adds linebackers instead of defensive linemen, and in that situation, speed is emphasis. So if you want to keep them from getting anywhere, you want that person to do that to keep them from advancing, especially if they're going up tempo, which up tempo is just a quick way of saying really fast speed. They're trying to control the speed of the game, and you want that guy in defense when offensive teams are running plays like that. A 5-2 defense is linemen and 2 linebackers, more common in middle school and high school. It's not really something you see much in college. You have a 4-4 defense, which is designed to stop running game. You have 4 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers. It's very good in run play to defend, but usually not successful if it turns out that it's a pass play from the offense. But you have to be able to read what the play is in order to run that. And a lot of times you don't want to run that because, especially if your quarterback is one that's known to throw the football a lot. Next is what they call the 46 defense. It's similar to the 4-3, but it allows safety to come up and play more of a linebacker position. So in defense, your positions, even though I went over what those positions are, they're more interchangeable and can be called different things depending on where they're actually lined up on the field and how the play actually presents itself. The next two are in relation to when you know it's going to be a pass and you got to do what you can to defend the pass. One's called the nickel, which is basically a 5th defensive backer in the game enters the game as a linebacker. It just adds more linebacker positions. The next is the dime, and you have a 6th person who comes in and plays for the linebacker. Nickel and dime are used in passing situations. There is not very much more on the defensive side of things. Now, again, just like in the offensive side of things, there is variations of those said defenses, but they're hybrids, and it's unique to each program that does it. The whole point of this is to help you understand what each offense player does and what each defense player does. In terms of the variations of this stuff, I'm not really sure because, like I said, each coach does things differently. So, with that being said, this broadcast is fixing to end. I hope that you maybe learned something that you didn't know already, and I hope that you subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, comment below the video, and just let me know what you think. Not sure when my next broadcast will be, but I'll let y'all know as soon as I know. Thank y'all and have a wonderful night. Peace out.